How you doing, everybody? Hope you're well. Things are okay with me. Going at a slower pace. I want to thank all you guys in the comments on the last video on my health update. Wonderful. I appreciate it. I mean, you guys really touched my soul. You really did. Very, very wonderful. I got the best audience. I already knew that. You did too. Okay, we're getting into this. I was filming while I was putting this saw together. Stihl 66 mag. No, not MS 660. It's 66 mag. It does have the styling of the 660, but this is just before. This ended up being a lovely saw. I'll tell you what I did though. When I was filming, I like to pause and then just restart, because what it does is I don't have to do near the editing. It's got just a little then generally. Well, I was turning the camera off thinking it was on and vice versa. I didn't look at my little bar. I don't know why. To tell me. So I didn't get very good stuff on it. But what I do got is I got a cylinder here that I started to work with. And I can do a lot of explaining. This is not, I'm not going to say it's a difficult saw to build, the Stihl 66s. Just know that they are not like building the Huskies and stuff or the smaller Stihls. These are a total different animal. And I'm going to explain exactly why that is. They have a 40 millimeter stroke with a 54 millimeter bore, okay? That real long stroke in these will make you think about things, okay? But I'll explain as we go what the deal is with it. Why your stroke affects what are my numbers going to be? Here's what it is. How much air are you displacing under that piston when that comes down? How much is that pushing somewhere or pulling as it goes up? Okay, you got to think of that. Here's what you can do wrong easy. A, way too big of an intake. Any saw is that way, you'll have a pig. Smaller intakes work better. Believe what I'm telling you. Don't push your intake timing. I don't go by opening and closing because there's a whole big reason that can fail on you. I go by when is it open to when does it close, meaning when the skirt clears to when the skirt shuts. It basically shuts the window so air fuel doesn't get up in there. Pardon me. I get where I can't breathe very good when I'm talking, especially, or moving around much, because of this AFib. It's kind of, sometimes it's just fine, and sometimes it really ain't. I do go in and out of it, but I'm in it most of the time. Like right now, I'm running about 135 beats a minute, heart rate. Okay. What happens as stroke gets increased in a saw, it can displace more air or draw more air into your intake. Once that piston clears that intake and it's on the way up, that's sucking. Okay, and it's doing a good job. Has to come down and shut that intake, and from there it has to compress that air. Okay, long stroke saws favor a little shorter intake timing. This one is right at 152. Stop right there with them. Don't go no further if you want a nice running saw. This is not cookie cut and build. However, it does a good job doing it. This is work saw related stuff right here. This ended up, you can get where a lot of saws I'll take and I'll widen these transfers, like the 272s. They're short straw. They're real short stroke saws. These, I don't mess with them. I do angle the lower transfer, I don't really try to get it bigger. And I'll tell you another thing is get up underneath that band, and on the exhaust side, there's a notch in there, cut right down through there. You're trying to get that air kind of going that way. See what I mean? You can see how it kind of naturally wants to. But up underneath that band, it's a big round. Get that where air can clean past that. And then with them tapered up slightly right there, you end up with awfully nice flow numbers. Just really nice. And as this is a junk cylinder, I junked it. Well, I didn't mean to, but heavily textured intake, they favor that a lot. This is my intake shape on this saw that's sitting right beside me. It's exactly the same as a cylinder. This is an earlier cylinder from Highway, and I had trouble with some of them flaking. Well, this one, you can see right here, right at the end of my screwdriver, big flake, stopped. Never got to finish. What I did do was, this isn't hurting you to see where I start. See, that's kind of a rounded mouth on that. That's the roof. This is obviously upside down. That works nicely, and it's slightly wider than it was at the roof, which is on the bottom. I remove material right in here on these cylinders just to get that air out. Otherwise, it wants to, if you don't, what happens is it wants to be like a little V shape right in the dead center. You widen it just the tiniest. I'm not talking go hog wild. And then round all them corners really good. And you really got a nice running saw then. Lovely saws to build. But like I said, they're different than anything else you've ever built because of the stroke. Don't get carried away with long numbers on your intake. In fact, I see a lot of you guys out there that are saw builders. More power to you. Do anything you want. It's your saws. But I'll give you a little advice. You're getting way too long on your intake timing. That air isn't going up your transfers, it's going back out your carburetor. And when you got them intakes so damn wide as some of them I've seen lately, oh God, you're killing your flow characteristics. It's slowing that down so much, your carburetor will never, ever have enough velocity going past it to pick fuel up properly. And then you'll screw your hides that way the heck out, and it doesn't do anything. I hope I'm helping you guys so you know when you went too far with something. Intake timing. If you have too long intake timing, the first thing you got is it'll hard to tune, hard to get it, difficult to get it to idle, hard to tune on the low end. Okay, too long an intake timing is really a bad thing. Too wide of an intake is a really bad thing. You want that air to come through there clean. Just there's certain you can't get by the laws of physics, guys. You can't. I am really totally against the heavy machine work a lot of you guys are doing that hasn't been doing this a long time. Those of you that's been doing a long time got it figured out. You learned. You take what you have to line your numbers to get things where you want them. It doesn't matter if it's long blow down, short blow down. That don't got no ice on me. Doesn't even matter. But when you take known saws that have good numbers, even with the aftermarket stuff, and you start hogging to get smaller combustion chambers, you will kill that saw. And I'll tell you why. Your squish band ends up being freaking wide. Okay? They don't like that. They like a narrow squish band up in that combustion chamber and then with a slightly tapered up. I like, if I'm getting kind of crazy, I'll break the edge one more time. But saws 70 cc's on up through these big boys like a fairly significant sized combustion chamber. They really do to make them run properly. When you start closing that down, you're killing your saw. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to get into it with you. I don't have the time for it. I'm too damn old, but I'm trying to help you. I truly, truly want to see everybody out there have saws that run as nice as this one right here. This is what I want. I truly want that. And I don't even care if you badmouth me, slam me. I want you to learn how to build better saws. And it just takes time. And don't be afraid to ask people. Bounce ideas around. Hey, what have you done with this particular saw? Or what have you done with that saw? Keep in mind, these buggers here are different. It is a nice saw. It's not perfect, but it's a darn nice one. It did come to be pretty dirty. You gotta admit that. OEM cylinder, pop-up piston. That's all I wanted. The fact I used the cylinder came on the saw, believe it or not. It transferred a lot of aluminum. So I really didn't think it'd be any good because of that. I mean, a lot. Well, I think the piston's still sitting here. Oh, I have to find it. But anyway, I got the piston here on the bench somewhere. They come out of it. That's pretty good when the minute something hits your bench, you lose it, ain't it? Or I might have tossed it. But I hadn't seen one that was wiped that bad in a long time. And it stuck. Well, after about 3 hours of being careful and scrubbing with some light sandpaper, you know the deal, guys. There wasn't a mark in it. There's very little time on the saw. The crosshatch was still in the cylinder everywhere. Still was. It amazed me. So I went ahead and built it with that. But I wanted this highway. I really did. But we got OEM. I'm going to start this and get it warmed up. Because these are, when they're fresh builds like this, they kind of smoke pretty good. So I got to open the doors. And then we'll run it. We'll run it for you. And we'll explain a few things what I'm looking at. Well, that was a big surprise to me. We had 22 this morning here, so it's probably 28 in the shop. It isn't now, it's warmed up. Got fire going. This stupid thing, the crazy animal, it was running in 2 poles. It fired and was running on the first pole. I ran the saw, I can't believe it. But we'll go ahead and start it. Compression is up there good, but you still have a functioning decomp. When you go too far with your compression on these, what happens is it just pops that decomp. And, they're miserable. They're just miserable. But let's go ahead and fire this up. And I'm going to explain a couple things to you. Here's how you know you're successful for a good logging saw. A nice warm logging saw in a 66 mag. That's significant, isn't it? They flutter. All saws will flutter at their top RPM. Okay? You pin it, it comes up, and it just stops. It starts 4-stroking. When the saw is warm and the bottom end's cleaned out of fuel, has been cleaned out of it, it'll come up, it'll hit that 4-stroke, and then it'll go ahead and work right through it and just go right to the boom. That's how you know you got these right. If you went too far somewhere, you won't get a 4-stroke out of them. Okay? This is why this numbers game sometimes becomes important. Some saws it's not, like 372. That numbers game is not what you think it is. It is not. Let's fire this up and let's make an example of this thing. See what I mean? It goes up, 4 strokes, he knows it's right, and then I'll go right to the moon. It'll go high. Don't Don't let them get carried away. Okay? I can't run saws. That right there just beat me up, just doing that. So, that's fine. I'm going to get myself fixed up, and we're going to be fixing saws together here while I'm waiting for that. 2 months from now, I get another attempt at an ablation. They found a blood clot in my heart. I was on the operating table and out. And they found a blood clot in my heart, fairly significant. And they have to get it dissolved. It's got to go away before they can operate. So I'm dealing with this, and I just want to spend time with you guys. You're my friends. You're my family. It makes me feel good to be out here. I'm not out here very much. 2 hours, maybe 3 hours a day. Yesterday wasn't a doctor's day thing. It's crazy, but I can do that. Now, did you see what I mean? It comes up, 4 strokes, boom, goes to the moon. That's how you know 66 Magnum only. Okay? That's what does it. And you know you're successful. I have a good friend coming tomorrow to run this saw amongst others, okay? I'm really kind of excited about it. I really am. I wish I could run it myself, to know the truth. But he's a pro logger. He knows how to run saws, and he has appreciation for a good chainsaw. He's older, he's like me, and doesn't care about the big saws anymore, which I really don't either. This saw, I bought it off eBay. I'm going to tell you straight away, I paid too much for it. I did, but I wanted it, so I got it. This is not one I'm keeping, guys. Wait till it runs. You see it in the wood? It's going down the road. Somebody's going to buy this saw. I don't know. Local guys, there's a couple of them that friggin' snap them up. This one is not short money. I got too much time in it and actually too much money in it. Still under what they're worth. I can do that. And it is ported. And it's a wonderful saw. So after it runs, if somebody wants it and they're willing to pay the price that I had to do to get it and build it, and that's all I want out of it, then good. Somebody's going to get a smoking deal. I got to get another saw. Let me take a minute and get a bar off of it and get screwing around. I got another one to show you. And there's a story behind it. That's 10 feet. Now I got to make it make sense, don't I? Okay, set your bag down. Right here, that's a 372. You guys might recognize it. This is the saw that I built, 50 millimeter, stock bore, the factory piston, factory cylinder, okay? This is not a big bore. This is not a high compression saw. I'm not as strong as I should be, but trust me, this is not high compression. Wow. Just bear with me a minute, guys. Okay. I'll start this up, just like Paul Harvey says. And here's the rest of the story. If you want instant RPMs, that's got it. Straight away. Okay. Now, what the premise of that saw, if any of you missed it, I did not alter the timing numbers in that cylinder. Did not. I stayed right away. I did the rest of the work. We got a much lighter factory piston than we had because, well, you know, I put an 046 stihl wrist pin in it, much, much lighter. Real low tension ring. That ring, one ring, got very little tension in it. Very, very, very little. You pull that out, it's like a noodle. Okay, because we had a nice round bore. This saw, I built it just to show you guys what you could do without actually worrying about hitting your port numbers. Okay, that's a good example right there. We're going to run this one tomorrow and this 66 Magnum tomorrow, okay? This is the two we're running. We got about 20 to run, but that's the two that I'm going to choose to do. Plus, we need a little firewood cut, and if you get somebody else cut your firewood for you, I guess that's okay. I'd rather do it myself, to know the truth. That muffler on there, I'll tell you what I did. When I first come up with the iron horse pipe, it's just one pipe out, one pipe like that. I tried 2 or 3, figured them out, really liked them. I wanted to hide one in a muffler. Okay, so I cut this muffler into 3-4 pieces and built that a little shorter version, but bigger diameter than the saw needs inside that muffler. Well, the problem is it's so freaking loud, I don't like running it. So I'm going to give it to Tin Man and see if he's still got ears left. Yep, cat's out of the bag, ain't it? I'm sending this saw to my friend Tin Man in Canada. I'll tell you why I'm doing it. First, I want him to have it because he's my friend. Okay? He would do that for me. I know that. Because I didn't alter the timing numbers, and because I worked with what's there instead of trying to fight everything, I worked with what's there. I did good port work. I changed the shape of my intake and exhaust a little bit without altering the roof of the exhaust. I did not do nothing. I never touched the upper transfers whatsoever in this little saw. Okay? Now, when you get a stock compression saw from 10 feet away idling, blow a flag around, did you do it? Did you or didn't you? You did, didn't you? This is a nice saw. I don't think it'll run with the big bore builds, but I'll tell you what it will do. This will produce timber with a quieter muffler. I couldn't run it with that. But I gotta admit, it's kind of cool. I'm really excited about tomorrow, guys. I'm so glad to be back out here with you. Right now, all I gotta do is get through 2 months. 2 months. I'm gonna do it right here, as much as I'm able. What would I do without you? You know, I might just think about this. If I didn't have YouTube and all of my friends in the comment section on YouTube, and wasn't friends with Buck and Billy and Tin Man and a few others, and all you I talked to all around the world. I was talking to a guy yesterday in Russia. Yeah, I was. Yeah, Ukrainian flag, and I'm talking to somebody in Russia. I don't care what governments do. We're people. We still are. Okay? As I treat people the way that I want to be treated. And this is the way it is. I do not care where you're from or where you're going. It's what you're doing on your journey past me. That's all. Hi, how you doing, friend? I got a lot of people in Russia and Ukraine. It's too bad that's going on over there. We know what the deal is. We're not even going to talk about it. You understand why that flag's sitting there? It's going to sit there until it's all over. It's a loyalty to humans. This is what it is. It does not mean anything more other than I really, really wish that was over. It bothers me more than you know. I've been places and seen what happens in combat zones, and it ain't good. And you know, like the Russian, do you think the Russian people ain't suffering? Do you think them Russians are all evil? They're not. Do you think all Americans are? that's debatable sometimes, but we do what we got to do. But that's enough about that. Let me catch my breath and I'll be right back. But here's what's nice. I said in this saw, I told Tin Man, run it, experience it, see what you like about it. Without having numbers moved at all in the cylinder, and with all of the accents for positive in the saw that make them better, it has a good proof of how much can you really do without even touching the ports. You can do a lot and make major gain. I mean, significant. This saw is pretty good. Good saw. I know I'm on top of the mountain as far as YouTube's concerned for building work saws. I know that. Tin Man's never built the 372 series much. He's just getting into it. So he gets to take this one apart. I've built many hundreds. And to see if he likes the way the saw runs, he gets to see exactly what can be done. And then figure out when you're moving them numbers, you're extending, you're bringing the horsepower and torque up some. But most importantly, what you're doing is moving that horsepower around and that torque curve around. You can flatten that torque curve. You can make it peaky. You can do anything you want to by just altering numbers. You can change the characteristics. But they're absolutely lovely. These 372s are without number changes, okay? I'm just letting you know that. They really are. Now, this is a flat top piston, 50 millimeter, nothing, no machine work whatsoever, anywhere. I don't do much of that anyway. It's not necessary. Not for work saws. You don't need the machine. Old stuff you do. But that's that. So, he gets to go through this whole route, pick it apart, see what he likes, see what he don't like, put it back together, and you know what he's got? He's got a nice saw that's going to be dependable for him. This is what, and it makes me feel good. It really does. And now it's time to get back to the project. Over there on that bench, that yellow thing is for Buck and Billy. That's the 95cc. When I'm done with this video, I am digging up my box of ceramic bearings, which I can't remember where I put them. I've got a nice little bag of them. And we're going into that with ceramic bearings. We're going to match the cylinder to the case. Going in it with a nice 58 millimeter Weisco piston. And I do have to machine the top off of that to make it fit because they're a little tall. But this is how we do this. And I'll carry you guys along on this journey, on this build. And so this is what's coming up. Tomorrow is going to be some cutting video. You expect next week, through the week, puttering along to build a 95cc. First time it's ever been done. First time. He likes his 86cc pretty good that we built for Paul Bunyan. That's a fairly tame saw, guys. I'm just sorry letting you know that. I did not build that orangutan. I depended on the CCs to make it pull. I didn't want it to blow up at Paul Bunyan in a big show. And especially as a prototype. That's a prototype saw. This one, we've learned significantly from the saws we've built since, plus that one, exactly what we got to do. It's not up front what you think. When we displace as much air as we are with that big of a piston into that case, you have changed the properties, the dynamics of that saw. You're shoving big air in a small case. There's disadvantages to that. Well, boy, there's one big advantage. Yeah, what the advantage is, I'm going to be able to move air at a fantastic rate up them transfers. Big time. We're going on that. Guys, not even messing around. Brand new OEM 395 carburetor. There's where we're starting with a carburetor. Let's see where we're finished. We got to build a pipe. Probably build a key to the bush. It's going to be just a little bigger than normal because the CC's to the saw. You're going to want to see this one when I get it going. You're going to love what you see in the build. You're going to appreciate how hard these are. It takes many, many, many hours to assemble one of these. It's not like the normal 372 anymore. And it doesn't have the characteristics of a 372 when it's running either. It does. It's just everything's amplified times 10. They're really an incredible build. The thing is, you got to keep the motor together. I won't build something that doesn't have a chance. Will not do it. Guys, thank you for stopping. Thanks for the wonderful comments. Hit that thumbs up button, please. I need to get this channel back rock and rolling. Between the comments that you leave and the thumbs up, that'll get me boosted back up as long as I can do my part. Thank you. Goodbye.